Hey guys, I made no trades today. FRGT was interesting that I avoided the front side stuff. Would have been extremely tempted to take the little fake 5 minute flag walk down here, right? We learned that the more a stock pushes, you can count how many pushes, right? Here's a 1 minute 50 walk down right here. That leads to a rotation. 1 minute 20 leads to a rotation. But the higher and higher you go, the less likely these, especially if you get aggressive rotations, which is ideally what you want to see, off these MAs, more likely are to fail, right? So now this is trading that like increasing volume over 400K. So I noted this in my Discord, guys. I was like, hey, the volume's bullish, and I didn't short this. I got online here, but I didn't short this because I considered this rotation to be potentially bullish because I'm like, well, um, if this is a long trap candle, again, it's kind of like understanding what the reaction should be if you short, long trap patterns. And most of the time, you should get follow through. Like you shouldn't get, grindy, full, rotations and, very grindy soak after what you consider to be a pretty nice liquidity move at the top. So I saw this come in. I told my Discord right away. I was like, hey, I'm not going to short this because now there's painted lower highs, right? Lower high, lower high, lower high. Painted lower highs, especially in a market where things are pushing intraday, at least on the ones that are, either bottomed out or have significant chart paint. You want to be careful because a lot of times if the lower highs are super close to high day, I consider that to be, kind of like MLGO had a similar situation where it's more bullish. It's more bullish the closer the higher lows are, and the more high lows there are to high day. So anyways, this was fading. I'm like, well, I guess it's fading. Huge, massive increasing volume push, right? I was not expecting this, right? Because a lot of times, like, again, walk downs in the open on stocks that already went up only, right, tend to not work very well. That being said, so I wasn't looking for the market open long on this at all. That being said, we got a big push to the 130 lower high level, and it rejects the 130 lower high again. And then I thought, given the chart paint we had earlier, given the pre-market volume, which, I consider that increasing volume, above 400K to be potentially bullish. The low high chart paint I thought was bullish. So this big push, I would not think this is a long trap because of the volume, market open volume, massively increasing 3 million shares a minute. And again, the way a lot of these trades work, like a way to bait shorts and shake out longs is to give like a huge push towards high day, come back, do shakeouts, could be VWAP, could be different MAs, it could be whatever. But you do shakeouts, so it's like big push, shake people out, and then rotate. You could see this on MLGO from not MLGO. This from this day, the 21st. MGOL. This is another good example. This is very common. If you go back to my the video I did on, God, what was that stock? MLGO. It's the same thing, but I think this one's a little more representative of what I'm trying to talk about. Like, so stock massively extended, right? From 25 cents to 80 cents. What did they do? It gets walked down, it dumps, it makes an aggressive rotation, right? Makes a new lower high, and then it comes back and shakes them out. So, in certain contexts, these shorts could be really good. These like aggressive, on these super extended stocks. There's a lot of bearish factors on this, right? Massive up only, massive extension, possible long trap move. Pretty much what always happens is have an aggressive move that usually lacks bid follow-up, right? Put in another lower high, shake people out, and then do the rotation for real, right? And we saw a similar thing on FRGT, so I was not or yeah, I was not interested in making any reads short here. You did have a chance. People in my room longed on the pullback because we were talking about the lower high pain and the volume. So a good amount of people actually caught this long. A shout out to my short Discord for all these people going long here, understanding the chart pain, understanding the volume, understanding the market conditions. Nice follow through. And again, I'm the type of person who likes to wait for a pullback and make a read later. But what do we get? We get a big squeeze. Squeeze all those pre-market levels. And we get big dump, small bounce, another big dump. I actually consider this to be bullish, right? A lot of shorts chase. I mean, look at a GME today. Same thing on GME. Big push, hard down only pullback, rotation and squeeze. Volatility patterns are often the same. And it's just one of those counterintuitive things. A lot of shorts chase into stuff like this, right? And I think FGRT was also SSR. I consider these quick pullbacks to be even stronger in SSR. On these high consistent volume plays, you could tell how controlled the selling is here. Very hyper controlled. I thought it would maybe get walked down to the 1 minute 50 do a rotation, but once it started rotating here, I told my Discord, I was like, hey, don't short. I'm not going to short this. Because it's too early in the rotation. I consider this increasing volume to be really bullish. So a lot of my trades, a lot of my best strong stock trades come, like I said, 45 minutes, an hour and a half. Look at NVVE, for example, from yesterday. Look at this short. The time between this high day and here is about an hour and a half, right? So I tend to take a much longer view approach on it. But something that I have some short sellers in my room have been in this game a long time, who I think actually listen to me for my long advice, because it is actually incredibly useful, even if you're primarily a short seller, to learn what a good long looks like in manipulated volatility land, and that can help you also become a better short seller just by learning to avoid bad shorts. For example, glad to see people in my room hit this long. So you get the push, you get the walk down, you swipe VWAP, and then you rotate. I'm glad they're able to see the chart pain, even though the stock is, extended. They're able to avoid the short and potentially go long. But yeah, one thing a lot of short sellers in my room do is they're really good at these high day clear outs, and this is something that I want to improve on. Because you hear me say things like high day clear outs on strong stocks tend to not be good patterns. And I think overall that's true, but there are contexts where you can, create a kind of a liquidity thesis. And I think our central idea behind why something like this is good is the same idea. If you go back to my AWIN video from a couple weeks ago, it's the same idea where, even though that was more on a longer time frame, but you get a hyper aggressive squeeze, right? So the first criteria is ideally extension, and ideally super fast up only extension, right? And the higher extends, the more squeezes shorts, the better, right? If market conditions are stronger, you're often going to get squeezes way past pre-market highs, and you get a deep pullback, right? You get a deep pullback, and then so that's the second part of the move. A lot of times that pullback could be 20, 25%. You get some deep pullbacks on it. And then you get soaking, and then whatever move it makes the high day, also the more aggressive and up only the move the high day is, the better. And what should happen is it should top almost right away, right? It should almost instantly top. If we go back to AWIN, and there's other examples of this from the past few months, but this is the same idea, where you got a massive up-only parabolic, deep pullback, and a hyper aggressive squeeze where it swipes high day then pulls, and that tends to be quite bearish. This is just on a shorter time frame. We should also mention that NVVE yesterday did a similar liquidity trap, right? Right, where I talked about how the instant downhalts can be very strong. because shorts like to chase down halts, and especially if you get instant down halts at the top, is looking more and more like a bullish factor. And then, again, 1 minute 9, 1 minute 20 up only, you take out this high, and then it should top. I think it's best if it tops pretty much right away. This one kind of hung out for about 4 or 5 minutes, but that made me bearish on this structure, right? Because I was like, oh, that's like a liquidity move, where you know, you kind of trap shorts on the obvious pattern. You swipe them and then you pull, right? I used to call this the one more push pattern. But I never quite understood. I knew it happened. It's one of those things I know happens, right? Like, oh, the one more push, where you get the obvious short pattern, and then you squeeze them, and then you pull it, right? Swipe their liquidity level and pull. Right? But I never knew exactly what context to apply it into, right? I just know it happens. But I think overall, the more extended it is, the more up-only, short squeezy it is, the more aggressive the beginning move. Usually deep pullback, and then the third part is the hyper-excessive liquidity squeeze. So I avoided this, you know, I guess the big miss for me on long was not longing on the soak down here, like a lot of people in my room did. That was probably the play. That's the thing I'm most disappointed about. This is something I just, you know, I'm kind of creating the criteria and getting more comfortable with it. And then, because the big thing about this is you have to anticipate that, right? You have to anticipate, like, hey, if I get a hyper, you know, this is a huge up-only move, right? Extension. If I get a hyper-aggressive squeeze to high day here, you know, if I get an aggressive rotation to high day and I see it stalling, then I think that's going to be bearish and I'm going to short it. But you have to have that plan before you go into the stock. So I did not have that. So I wanted, you know, train myself to have that expectation so you can react in real time when all the different conditions kind of line up, right? So I don't know if there's even a whole lot on the book on this, honestly. I don't know if I was even really looking at I guess we can look at the book really fast. Is there anything, like, notable? Oh, then it went into a down-only sell-off, so, I mean, there's no bounce play for me to short, so, a lot of bids. I'm going to bid follow-up. Oh, all those bids. Oh, one thing I will say, and I've said this before, is that, for the people who went long, a lot of people in my room went long, and it's like 180 to 122 level. I always say the sell some into the liquidity move. But if you start to get increasing volume, especially in a stronger market, it's worth it to always watch the bid follow-up, especially as the stock starts, especially as the MAs start to catch up. So it could pull back into the MAs, it could go sideways, and maybe the MAs catch up. Just look at what give it, sell some. Understand the market conditions do lend itself to, also there was a lot of consolidation here. So there's actually a lot of, possible trap shorts who might be looking to get out on any pullbacks, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, really takes them out at the liquidity level. And then if you see bids come in, and this had some bids, some decent bids, and not only did the bids come in, but they didn't even get tested. It just up halted, did a bunch of crazy stuff. So, yeah. I do want to make this just because, even though I didn't trade it, I do think it's good to cover why you wouldn't want to take something. And I think it's much more common for people to make bad trades than to make good trades, right? So it's like, how do you weed out bad trades? How do you avoid situations where the factors are stacking against your favor, right? And you can read, you could read the chart paint, you could read the volume. And then, yeah, just your basic understanding of, a lot of times, it looks like it's stuffing really hard. This dip and rip, this stuffed really hard. But I was not looking to make the short on this because of how the chart paint was set up. So anyways, that's it for today. Pretty short video. Literally traded nothing. Trying to get better at these high day clearouts or these manipulated long entries, but just didn't have the read. And that's it for today. You guys have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow.